From the Oklahoma newsroom, this is a Varsity Update. I'm Jenny Carlson. Time for Week 1 high school football action, and of course, that means our top 10 games of the week. Scott Wright joins me on the phone to talk about the picks for this week. Scott, we obviously had Week 0, so we had some really good games in Week 0, but this is the first week of a full slate of games, the first week of our picks. When you tell people what game they need to definitely go and see if they don't have a team they're following, who would you pick at the top this week?
Well, I tell you what. First of all, Jenny, I got to say I went through the schedules as I was compiling this list, and usually the top 10 comes out pretty clear as I'm going through it, and I was typing in games as I'm going along, and I got to the end, and I had 25 games on the list that I had to try to narrow down to 10, and I was not a big fan of that. There's a ton of good football games out there, a ton more than even I was able to put into my top 10. So, but to address your question, I put Midwest City at Tulsa, Washington, number 1 on my list. Two powerhouse programs that have been good for a really long time, won a lot of state titles. These two teams are kind of the reason that 6A Division II is really kind of fun. Programs like this that have been re-energized and given a chance to compete for a state title again. They're number 2 and number 3 in our preseason poll. Midwest City number 2, Booker T is number 3. Midwest City hosted them last year in what turned out to be a great game that Tulsa, Washington came down and won. Now Midwest City goes up there this year. A lot of Division I talent on the field. The winner kind of has a leg up really on the race toward a state championship at the end of the year. Though Bixby is the preseason number 1. This is a big game to establish somebody as a real contender early on. Just a huge game to kick the season off.
Scott, you've got, like you say, a ton of great games. As I'm looking at the top 10, though, the first 4 involve games that are basically East Side games. You mentioned Midwest City at Booker T, then it's Jinx at Bixby, which is a number 1 matchup, number 1 in 6A1. Jinx versus number 1 in 6A2, Bixby. Broken Arrow at Owasso is 3. Number 4 is Collinsville at Oologah. You don't get to a Metro, Oklahoma City Metro game until number 5, and that's Lincoln Christian Davis playing at Choctaw on Saturday, that Saturday doubleheader. Why'd you pick that game as the top game in the Metro area?
Well, for one, Lincoln Christian, being a Tulsa team, we don't see them a lot. They've got an excellent quarterback in Michael Wilson. They're coming down to play in this really fun event on Saturday. And Davis is coming in. I know Davis is coming off of a loss to Tuttle in Week 0. But this is a really cool event that they do out at Choctaw. You got two top 5 teams from different classes meeting up. You got and it's the second game of the doubleheader. Jones and Vian kick the thing off at 11 a.m. and then these guys follow at 3 o'clock. Really pretty exciting. Just the whole day. The atmosphere was fun. Last year was the first time they did this. It was really cool. Just kind of a fun day for high school football fans to go see some teams that don't always come through the metro area and have a little bit of fun and enjoy some good football. And
remember, too, that Lincoln Christian throws it around a ton, and Davis, they may not throw a pass on Saturday, Scott. They may go 0 on the passing side of the ball. So this is stylistically a really fun matchup as well.
Oh, it absolutely is. I think Davis was 0 for 3 throwing the ball the other night in their opener.
And so, some people probably said that was too much passing.
Exactly. Some people were wondering who was calling plays down there, probably.
Well, Scott, I don't want to put you too much on the hot plate, but what was that game that you wanted to put in the top 10 but didn't quite get in there? Who was maybe just on the outside looking in?
Some of the games that really stand out are the big rivalries that maybe didn't quite have the weight that they have some years. Norman North, I think, is always an exciting game, but Norman's going through a tough time and trying to build back up. Moore and Westmore are 2 teams that are both trying to improve. It's a little bit questionable just how good a game that'll be. But I think it'll be a fun ball game. UConn and Mustang is a huge game. Mustang's really good, and UConn is another team that's trying to build their way up into a playoff team. Games like that you know have a chance to be really good just because of the rivalry that they are, but maybe they didn't carry the clout that some of these other games did going into the season.
Well, here's hoping for your sake, Scott, that when you get that list done next week, that there's not 25 games that you'd want to put in the top 10. But for football fans, it's a great problem to have. It's a great week one. Be sure to get out there and see some of that really good high school action. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.